She was an outcast Omega with healing hands. He was an Alpha King with a wounded heart, but when she begged him to marry her dying mother, neither expected the dangerous game of power and passion that would follow. What happens when the most powerful man in the realm discovers his true strength lies in the arms of the woman society deemed worthless. My footsteps echo hollow against cobblestone streets, the sound of someone who walks alone, always alone. The Omega mark on my wrist burns like a brand today, not with physical pain, but with the memory of 1,000 mean looks, whispered words behind cupped hands. Defective, weak, unwanted. Mother says I shouldn't go to the village gathering, that the jeers will only hurt me more. But she doesn't understand that sometimes I need to remember why we live at the edge of the forest, why our small house smells of healing herbs and broken dreams. She doesn't understand that I need to see them to remember why I choose to be alone. The harvest party fills the village square, golden light swaying in the evening breeze. I pull my hood lower, staying in the edges where shadows keep me safe. That's when I feel it, a tingling feeling at the back of my neck, a weight of someone watching me so real it nearly takes my breath. I look up, across the dancing flames and twirling villagers, through the haze of smoke and laughter. A pair of eyes meets mine, amber, almost golden in the firelight. They belong to a man I've never seen before, tall, broad-shouldered, standing with such power that makes even the village elders step aside as he passes. The Alpha King from beyond the mountains. The whispers about his visit had reached even our far-away home. Something in his gaze holds me still, like a rabbit caught in a hunter's sight. Not like he wants to hurt me, but curious, as if he sees something in me that others have missed. Something worth seeing. The moment breaks when someone bumps into me, spilling drink down my cloak. Watch where you're standing, Omega trash. The man sneers, and laughter ripples through the crowd. I run away, my cheeks burning with shame. But I feel those amber eyes following me all the way to the edge of the forest. My heart pounds so hard I can feel it in my throat as I duck under low-hanging branches and step over twisted roots. The forest has always been my friend, hiding me from cruel eyes and crueler words. The moon peeks through the leaves above, casting silver light on the path I know by heart. Every step takes me farther from the village music and closer to the quiet of our small home. My breathing slows as the scent of pine and damp earth wraps around me like a blanket. Our cottage comes into view, a single candle burning in the window. Mother must be waiting up for me, even though I told her not to. Her cough has been worse lately, and she needs her rest. Still, the sight of that small light in the darkness makes my eyes sting with tears I refuse to shed. Inside, the fire has burned low. Mother sits in her chair, a blanket across her knees, her thin fingers working at her mending. She looks up as I enter, her eyes searching my face. "You went to the village," she says, not a question. I hang my damp cloak by the door. "Just for a little while." "And?" Same as always, I busy myself adding wood to the fire, not wanting her to see the hurt that still lingers. Nothing changes there. Mother sighs, a rattling sound that worries me. "One day it will, little bird. The world can't stay frozen forever." I don't answer. Instead, I put the kettle on for tea and check her forehead for fever. Her skin feels too warm, but I say nothing of it. She knows. We both know. "There was a stranger there," I say, trying to sound like I don't care. "The Alpha King from across the mountains." Mother's hands still their work. "And did this king notice you?" The memory of those amber eyes makes my skin prickle. "No," I lie. "Why would he?" "Because you shine brighter than you know." She smiles, but it turns into a cough that bends her double. I rush to her side, holding her until the fit passes, then press a cup of honey-sweet tea into her hands. "Drink," I urge. "It will ease your throat." As she sips, I busy myself around our small home, straightening things that don't need straightening, my mind returning to the village square, to that moment of being seen. "Tell me about him," Mother says, her voice hoarse, but her eyes bright with interest. "There's nothing to tell. Your cheeks say otherwise." Her smile is knowing. Was he handsome, this king? I think of his broad shoulders, the way the crowd parted for him, those eyes that seemed to look into rather than at me. He was different, I admit. Not like the village men. He didn't seem to care what anyone thought of him. A rare quality in any person, let alone a king. Mother sets her empty cup aside. Perhaps he'll stay a while. And why would that matter to us? I ask, more sharply than I meant to. Mother just smiles, that secret smile of hers, the one that makes me feel like she's reading my thoughts. The winds are changing, little bird. I feel it in these old bones. I help her to bed soon after, tucking the blankets around her too thin frame, pretending not to notice how the illness has eaten away at her once strong body. As I bank the fire for the night, I can't help but wonder if she's right, if change is coming. In my own small bed, I close my eyes but find no sleep. Instead, I see amber eyes, feel the weight of a gaze that didn't hold disgust or pity, just interest, recognition, almost. Foolish thoughts, I tell myself. Kings don't notice Omega girls from the edge of the forest. Tomorrow, he'll be gone, and life will go on as it always has. Quiet, safe, lonely. But as sleep finally claims me, a small, secret part of me hopes that Mother is right, that the winds are changing, that somewhere, somehow, there might be a place where being different isn't the same as being wrong. 3 days later, thunder cracks the night sky and rain lashes against our cottage windows. Mother stirs restlessly in her sleep, her illness making her hurt with every change in weather. I add another log to the fire and crush more feverfew for her tea. The bitter smell fills our small home as I work, my hands moving in the patterns Mother taught me years ago. The pounding at our door nearly stops my heart. "Please," a voice calls over the storm's howling. "We need help," I freeze. Knife clutched in trembling fingers. We've been tricked before. Mean people pretending to need help just to hurt us when we open the door. "There's a child," the voice adds, sounding scared even through the wooden door. The knife clatters to the table. I throw the bolt and pull the door open. He stands there, soaked to the bone, holding a small bundle against his chest. The Alpha King, his golden eyes now dark with worry, his kingly manner gone with how tired he looks. Blood runs from a cut on his head. "Please," he says again, and this time I see the bundle move. A small face peeks out from wet blankets. A child, no more than 6 years old, pale and shaking. My guards, he manages, swaying a little. "Attacked. The child. Her mother gave her to me, to keep safe. I couldn't think where else." His legs give out. I catch him, or try to, his weight nearly bringing us both down. Somehow, I manage to guide him to the fire, take the child from his arms. "You're the girl," he murmurs, his eyes fighting to stay open. "From the village, the one who wasn't afraid to look at me." "Hush," I tell him, my Omega heart filling with the need to protect them both, even though I know alphas can't be trusted. "You're safe now." The child whimpers as I gently unwrap her from the wet blankets. She's small for her age, with dark curls and eyes wide with fear. No visible hurts, but she's cold and scared. "My name is Arya," I tell her softly, wrapping her in a dry blanket. "What's yours?" "Lily," she whispers, her voice thin as a thread. "Where's Mama?" I glance at the king, who shakes his head slightly, his face grim. My heart sinks. "You're safe here with us, Lily. That's what matters right now." While Lily drinks the warm milk I heated for her, I turn my attention to the king. His cut needs cleaning, and his clothes are soaked through. In any other time, the thought of tending to an alpha, let alone a king, would make me shake with fear. But tonight, with the storm raging outside and danger lurking in the shadows, old rules seem far away. "Your head needs care," I tell him, dipping a cloth in warm water. "It might hurt." He almost smiles at that. I've had worse. As I clean his wound, I feel his eyes on me, studying my face. Not in the way village men look at Omegas like we're less than human, but with a kind of wonder. "Why did you open your door?" he asks quietly. "You had no reason to trust a stranger in the night." I dab at the cut, which isn't as bad as the blood made it seem. "You said there was a child. Many would still have turned us away. Then many have forgotten what it means to be human." The words surprise me as they leave my mouth. Speaking so boldly to an alpha, let alone a king, could mean trouble. But something about him makes me brave. A crash of thunder makes Lily cry out. I go to her quickly, gathering her small body against mine. "Just noise," I soothe. "Just the sky having a tantrum." She sniffles against my shoulder. "Like when Papa used to yell?" The king's head snaps up at that, his eyes suddenly sharp. "Lily, what do you mean about Papa yelling?" But the child has buried her face in my neck, her body shaking. "Later," I mouth to him over her head. He nods, though I can see questions burning in his eyes. I settle Lily in my own bed, tucking the blankets around her small frame. Her eyes are already drooping with sleep, her little hand clutching mine. "Stay," she murmurs. "I'll be right here, I promise," stroking her dark curls until her breathing evens out. When I return to the main room, the king has moved closer to the fire. He's removed his wet outer coat, and in just his shirt, he looks less like a ruler and more like a man. A tired, worried man. "She's sleeping," I tell him. "Now, you should tell me what happened." He runs a hand through his damp hair. "We were traveling from the summer palace back to the capital. A small group, just me, Lily, her mother, Lady Elena, and a few trusted guards." His voice drops. "We were ambushed in the forest. Not common bandits, these men knew who we were, knew our route." "How did you end up here?" I ask, adding more wood to the fire. "We scattered. My captain took Lady Elena one way, ordering me to take Lily and run in the other direction. I heard fighting behind us." He stops, his face darkening. "I should have stayed, should have fought, and Lily might be dead," I point out. "You kept her safe. That's what her mother wanted." He looks at me strangely. Most people don't speak to me so plainly. I don't know how to speak any other way. I check on Mother, who sleeps through it all, her breathing shallow but steady. "You can stay until the storm passes. There's a cot in the back room. I've put you in danger by coming here," he says, his voice low. "If they were looking for me specifically, then they'd be fools to check an Omega cottage at the edge of nowhere," I finish for him. "We're invisible to most people. Sometimes that's a blessing." A ghost of a smile touches his lips. "Not invisible to me." Those words send a strange flutter through my chest. I busy myself with hanging his wet coat by the fire, not meeting his eyes. "You should rest. Your head is fine, thanks to your care." He catches my hand as I pass, his touch gentle but firm. "I don't know your name." "Arya," I tell him, very aware of his fingers around mine. "Just Arya. There is no just about you, Arya." He releases my hand slowly. "I'm Darian." "I know who you are, Your Majesty." "Darian," he insists. "Tonight I'm not a king. I'm just a man who needed help and found it in the last place most would look. I should keep my distance. Should remember every warning about alphas, about men in power. But as I look at him sitting by my fire, concern for a child not his own etched on his face, I feel something crack in the walls I've built around my heart. "Try to sleep, Darian," I say, testing his name on my tongue. "You're safe here." As I check on Lily one last time, I wonder what Mother will say when she wakes to find an alpha king and a noble child in our home. The quiet life we've built at the edge of the forest suddenly feels fragile, like mist that might vanish with the morning Sunday. But watching the steady rise and fall of Lily's chest, hearing the low crackle of the fire keeping Darian warm, I can't bring myself to regret opening our door. For tonight, at least, our small cottage has become a haven for lost souls. And there's a rightness to that I can't explain. Outside, the storm begins to ease. But a different kind of storm is brewing in my heart. One I'm not sure I'm ready to weather. Days pass like water through cupped hands. The child, Lily, she tells me in shy whispers, gets better quickly, her strength putting my own to shame. The King Darien, though it feels wrong to use his real name, heals more slowly. His wounds were deeper than I first thought, and fever gripped him for 2 long nights. Mother watches it all with knowing eyes. Be careful, she warns when we're alone. Hearts break easier than they mend, but there's something about caring for him that makes my own hurts feel smaller. Each time I change his bandages, our eyes meet, and neither of us looks away. His fingers brush mine, sending little sparks dancing under my skin. One evening, as Lily sleeps and Mother rests, we sit together by the fire. I'm grinding herbs, and he watches my hands like they're doing something magic. You have healer's hands, he says softly, strong and gentle at once. I laugh, but it sounds bitter. Strong isn't a word people use for omegas. Then people are fools. His voice holds no pity, only truth. I've known alphas who run away at the first sign of trouble. You faced a lifetime of it and still found kindness to offer strangers. Not kindness, I correct him. Duty. Any good person would help. The world has few good people then. He looks into the flames. My own court is filled with those who would step over a dying child if it helped them move up in the world. Something in his voice makes me set aside my herbs. Why did you come here? Of all places? I saw you, he says simply, at the village gathering, standing apart yet seeing everything, hurt by their meanness, yet still watching over them. I saw something in you that I've been looking for. And what's that? I ask, my heart shaking like a little bird. Truth, he whispers. Someone who sees the world as it is, not as they wish it to be. Someone who keeps going no matter what. The fire crackles between us, sending shadows dancing across his face. In this light, he looks less like a king and more like a man tired of wearing a mask. What was she like? I ask. Lily's mother. Pain flashes across his face. Elena was kind. Too kind for court life, perhaps. She was. He hesitates. My cousin. Her husband died last winter, leaving her alone with Lily. And no one else to care for the child? No one I would trust, he says darkly. Elena knew that. That's why she made me promise to keep Lily safe if anything happened to her. I think of the sleeping child, her small face peaceful for the first time since she arrived. You'll find out what happened to her mother? If she lives, I'll move heaven and earth to find her. His hands clench. If she doesn't. The words hang in the air between us. Then you'll keep your promise. I finish for him. And Lily will know love. His eyes, amber in the firelight, fix on mine with sudden intensity. How do you do that? Do what? See through to the heart of things. Speak truth when others would offer pretty lies. I shrug, uncomfortable with his praise. Pretty lies help no one, least of all children. That night, I tell him about the years of being alone. The whispers, the small mean acts that cut deeper than any knife. He tells me of a crown that weighs like a stone, of lies wrapped in sweet words, of a kingdom where power is the only thing anyone cares about. We fall asleep beside the fire, not touching, yet somehow closer than any touch. Morning brings Lily's laughter as she helps Mother with the bread dough. The sound fills our small cottage like sunshine, chasing away shadows I hadn't even known were there. She needs you, Mother says as we watch Darien teach Lily how to shape the dough into little birds. Both of them do. They have their own world to return to, I remind her, one that has no place for people like us. Mother's eyes, wise despite her illness, see too much. Are you so sure of that? Days blend into one another, each filled with small moments that stick in my heart like burrs. Lily learning to identify healing herbs in our garden. Darian's face when he tastes Mother's berry tarts, the way his hand steadies me when I stumble carrying water from the well. One afternoon, Mother's cough grows worse. I send Lily to gather eggs from our few chickens while I mix the strong medicine Mother usually refuses. She needs more than I can give her here. I tell Darian as he helps me settle her in bed. But the village healer turned us away long ago. He won't help an Omega widow and her defective daughter. Anger flashes in his eyes. When I return to the capital, "What?" I cut him off. "You'll change hundreds of years of how people think? Even kings can't work that kind of magic." His hand finds mine in the dimness of Mother's room. Watch me. That night, as Mother sleeps easier thanks to herbs from our garden and medicine from Darian's saddlebags, he finds me sitting alone on the bench outside our door. The night air smells of pine and wood smoke, and stars fill the sky like scattered salt. "Your mother is strong," he says, sitting beside me, "like her daughter." "Not strong enough," I whisper. "The illness is winning." His shoulder brushes mine. "I could take her to the royal healers. She would never leave this place. It's where she lived with my father, where his memories live." We sit in silence, watching the moon rise over the treetops. "What will you do?" he asks finally. "When she's gone?" The question catches me off guard. I've been so focused on keeping Mother alive that I haven't let myself think beyond that. Keep living, I suppose. Keep healing those who will let me. Alone? I'm used to being alone. His hand finds mine in the darkness. "You shouldn't have to be." I should pull away. Should remember every lesson about alphas and their sweet words that turn sour. But his hand is warm, his fingers twining with mine as if they belong there. "Why are you here, Darian? Really?" He turns to face me, his free hand coming up to touch my cheek. "I think you know." "You're a king," I remind him. "I'm an Omega from nowhere." "You're everything," he says simply. When his lips meet mine, it feels like coming home to a place I've never been. Gentle at first, then deeper as my hands find their way to his shoulders. He tastes of the tea we shared after dinner, smells of pine and something uniquely him. My heart pounds so hard I'm sure he must feel it. We break apart at the sound of a giggle. Lily stands in the doorway, her eyes bright with childish delight. "Are you going to marry Arya?" she asks Darian. "Because I think you should. She makes the best honey cakes, and she doesn't yell, 'Not ever.'" Darian laughs, but his eyes stay on mine, full of questions I'm not ready to answer. "The best things in life can't be rushed, little one. Now, shouldn't you be in bed?" As he leads her inside, his hand lingering on mine for a moment longer, I sit frozen on the bench. What am I doing? Opening my heart to a man who lives in a different world? A king who will eventually return to his castle, his duties, his real life? Yet as I look up at the stars, I can't bring myself to regret that kiss. For once in my life, I was seen not as an Omega, not as defective or less, but as a woman worthy of a king's attention. For tonight, at least, that feels like enough. Lily's laughter rings through our small garden as she chases butterflies, her earlier fear now just a shadow. Mother sits in her chair in the sun, her thin face more peaceful than I've seen in months. And Darian no longer just the king in my thoughts works beside me, his strong hands learning to be gentle with tiny plants. The peace breaks with the thunder of horses. "Inside," Darian commands, and the alpha power in his voice leaves no room to argue. I gather Lily and help Mother while he faces the riders coming our way. From the window, I watch as 6 men in royal colors get off their horses. Their leader, a thin-faced man with cold eyes, looks at Darian with barely hidden dislike. "Your Majesty," he says, bowing too low in a way that feels fake. "How strange to find you in such a simple place." "Lord Varian," Darian's voice is like ice. "Explain why you are here." "We've been searching for you since the attack." Varian's eyes flick to our cottage, to me standing in the window. His nose wrinkles as he smells the air. An Omega home? How? Quaint. The lady of this house saved my life and has been caring for Princess Lily, Darian says. You will show proper respect. Varian's smile doesn't reach his eyes. Of course, though the council will be most interested to learn where your majesty has been, recovering, and with whom. Is that a threat, Lord Varian? A concern, your majesty, for your good name, for the peace of the realm, for the proper care of the princess. Varian's gaze fixes on me again, and I feel my skin crawl. Some might question the wisdom of leaving a royal child in the care of a broken bloodline. The change in Darian is instant and scary. One moment he stands relaxed, the next he moves like a hunting cat, his hand closing around Varian's throat. Choose your next words very carefully, he says, his voice a low growl that raises the hair on my arms. They may be your last. Varian's face turns purple. His men reach for their swords but freeze when Darian's eyes flick toward them. The lady of this house is under my protection. Darian continues, each word clear and deadly. The princess is under my protection. This cottage and all within it are under my protection. Do you understand? He lets go of Varian, who stumbles back, gasping. The council expects your return, Varian manages, rubbing his throat. Nearby kingdoms are watching for signs of weakness. Then I suggest you don't show them any, Darian replies coldly. You may tell the council I will return when Princess Lily has fully recovered. Not before. After they leave, Darian comes inside, his face tight with controlled anger. He sees my fear and his face softens. I would never hurt you, he says quietly, or allow harm to come to you. I know, I reply, and I'm surprised to realize it's true. Lily runs to him, wrapping her small arms around his legs. Were those bad men? She asks, her voice small. Darian lifts her up, holding her close. Not bad, little one, just not friends. Mother watches from her chair, her eyes missing nothing. Your world has found you, your majesty, she says softly. As it was bound to do. This changes nothing, Darian insists, but I can see the worry in his eyes. That night, after Lily and Mother are asleep, I find him standing in the garden, staring at the stars. The same stars we sat under when he kissed me, now seeming colder and more distant. Who is he? I ask, coming to stand beside him. That man, Varian, the kind of snake that thrives in palaces, Darian says bitterly. Lord Chancellor of the realm, and my late father's closest advisor. He doesn't like you much. A small smile touches Darian's lips. You have a gift for saying hard truths simply, he sighs. No, he doesn't like me. He liked my father's way of ruling with fear and strict ranks. When I took the throne 2 years ago, I began making changes, small ones at first. Varian has fought me at every turn. What kind of changes? I ask, curious despite myself. Opening the Royal Academy to students of all ranks, appointing people based on skill rather than birth, allowing Omegas to own property in their own names. My heart skips a beat at the last one. Omegas can own property now? He turns to me, his face serious in the moonlight. In the capital and royal lands, yes. The outer provinces have been slower to accept the new laws. Like this one. Yes. His hand reaches for mine, our fingers twining together. But change is coming, Arya. I promise you that. I want to believe him. Want to believe in a world where being an Omega doesn't mean being less. But I've lived too long with the truth to trust in dreams. Varian will be back, I say. Or he'll send others. I know. Darian's grip tightens on my hand, which is why I need to return to the capital soon, assert my authority, make sure Lily is recognized as under royal protection. The thought of him leaving makes my chest tight. Of course, she needs to be safe, as do you, he says, turning to face me fully. Varian saw how I look at you. He'll use that if he can. How do you look at me? I ask, my voice barely above a whisper. In answer, he pulls me close, his lips finding mine with a hunger that steals my breath. This is no gentle kiss like our first. This is need and want and fear all mixed together. His hands tangling in my hair, my arms wrapping around his neck, as if I might drown without him. When we break apart, both breathing hard, he rests his forehead against mine. Like that, he says roughly, like you're water in the desert, like you're the answer to a question I've been asking my whole life. I'm just an Omega herb woman, I remind him, even as my heart sings at his words. You are so much more than the label the world has given you. His thumbs trace my cheekbones. You're the woman who opened her door to strangers in the night, who healed wounds others couldn't see, who made a frightened child laugh again. His words wrap around me like a warm blanket, making me believe, just for a moment, that I could be more than what I've always been told I am. A sudden crash from inside the house shatters the moment. We rush in to find Mother on the floor, her thin body shaking with coughs that seem to tear her apart from inside. Darian helps me lift her to the bed, his strength making easy work of what would have been a struggle for me alone. As I mix her medicine with shaking hands, he builds up the fire, his movements sure and quick. She needs more than herbs, he says quietly as Mother's coughing finally eases. I know, I admit, the words tasting like defeat. But the village healer, forget the village, he cuts in. My royal physician could. No. Mother's voice, weak but determined, stops him. I will not leave my home. Darian kneels beside her bed, taking her frail hand in his. No longer a king speaking to a subject, but a man showing respect to an elder. My lady, please, for your daughter's sake, if not your own. Mother's eyes, bright with fever, move from him to me. My daughter needs no royal doctor's care, she says softly. She needs a future. That night, as Mother finally sleeps, Darian and I sit by the fire, the weight of what's coming hanging between us. I must return, he says finally, not just for Lily's sake. The kingdom needs a strong hand right now. I understand, I tell him, and I do. He has duties bigger than what he feels for me, bigger than what I feel for him. His fingers touch the pendant he gave me, now hanging around my neck. This will keep you safe until I return, he promises. My most trusted guards will remain here. And if your enemies come in force? His eyes, amber in the firelight, harden with a determination that sends a shiver down my spine. Then they will learn what it means to threaten what is mine. I should bristle at being called his. Should remind him that Omegas aren't property to be claimed. But the fierce protection in his voice makes me feel not owned, but treasured, valued in a way I've never been before. For now, that's enough to hold on to as the shadows gather around us. The night before Darian and Lily are to leave, I find him standing in the garden, staring at the stars. Lily sleeps peacefully inside, and Mother has gone to bed early, claiming she was tired, but giving me a knowing look as she closed her door. Will you be safe? I ask, coming to stand beside him. I should be asking you that, he replies. Varian knows where you live now. We've survived worse. He turns to me, his face half in shadow. You shouldn't have to merely survive. The weight of unspoken words hangs between us, like the mist that rises from the forest floor at dawn. I've arranged for royal guards, he says finally, loyal to me alone. They'll watch over you and your mother. Is that necessary? Yes. His certainty chills me. There are problems at court, groups who would use anything, anyone to control me. And I would be such a weakness? The bitterness in my voice surprises even me. No, he says fiercely, stepping closer. You are my strength. But they wouldn't understand that. His hand rises, hovers near my cheek but doesn't touch. When I return to court, I must play their game, make deals, build support, secure my power. Only then can I. Can you what? I whisper. Change things, he says. Create a world where a woman isn't judged by her rank but by her heart, where Lily can grow up without fear, where you... He doesn't finish. He doesn't need to. I have something for you, he says, pulling a small object from his pocket. A carved wooden pendant on a leather cord. It bears my personal mark. If you ever need help, any help at all, show this, and my people will come. As he places it around my neck, his fingers brush my skin, and I close my eyes at the touch. I will come back, he promises. Don't, I tell him, though it hurts to say it. You have a kingdom, duties. Lily needs a proper home, not a cottage at the edge of nowhere. And what do I need? He asks, his voice rough. I have no answer that won't break what's left of my heart. Dawn comes too soon. I watch from the doorway as Darian lifts Lily onto his horse. The child's eyes are red from crying she doesn't want to leave us either. He looks back once, his golden eyes burning with something I dare not name, and then they are gone, swallowed by the forest path. Mother finds me still standing there an hour later. It's better this way, she says, but her eyes hold a sadness that mirrors my own. I know, I lie, touching the wooden pendant that rests against my heart. The days that follow have a hollow feeling, like an echo in an empty room. I tend to Mother, whose cough grows worse with each passing week. I gather herbs, brew medicines, treat the few villagers brave enough to seek an Omega's help. But it all feels like walking through a dream, my real self left behind in the moment Darian rode away. At night, I sit by the fire and hold his pendant, wondering where he is, what he's doing. Is he safe? Is Lily happy in her new home? Has he forgotten us already? Mother watches me with knowing eyes, but says little. Her strength fades like autumn leaves, and we both know what's coming, though neither speaks of it. A month after Darian's departure, a royal messenger arrives. Not one of Darian's personal guards, who still watch our cottage from a distance, but a palace courier in full regalia. The villagers stare as he rides through, straight to our door. Lady Arya, he says, bowing low as if I were someone important. A message from His Majesty. The parchment he hands me is heavy, sealed with royal wax. I take it with trembling hands, thanking him before closing the door. Mother watches as I break the seal, her eyes bright with interest despite her weariness. What does our king have to say? The letter is short, written in a strong hand that I somehow know is Darian's own. Arya, I read aloud, Lily asks for you daily. The palace feels empty without your quiet strength. Court politics move slowly, but I am making progress. Trust no one who comes in my name without the mark, you know. I think of you with every sunrise. D. Mother smiles, though it turns into a small cough. He has not forgotten. He is a king, I remind her, though I press the letter to my heart. Kings must think of their kingdoms first, and yet he thinks of you with every sunrise, she quotes softly. That night, I dream of Darian, not as the king in his fine clothes, but as the man who sat by our fire, who taught Lily to make bread shapes, who looked at me as if I were precious. In the dream, he walks toward me across a field of wildflowers, his arms open, his smile just for me. But no matter how fast I run, I can't reach him. The distance between us grows with each step. I wake with tears on my cheeks and a hollow ache in my chest. The royal guards Darian left are kind in their distant way. They bring us supplies from the village, saving me the cruel stares and whispers. They chop wood for our fire and make small repairs to the cottage roof. They never intrude, but their presence is a comfort as Mother's illness worsens. 2 months after Darian's departure, the lead guard, a serious man named Thorn, brings news. Lady Elena's body has been found, he tells me quietly while Mother naps. She was killed in the ambush, as we feared. My heart aches for Lily. Does the child know? The king has told her, Thorn says. He sits with her each night as she cries. The image of Darian comforting the small girl brings fresh pain and strange comfort all at once. And the ones who did it? Thorn's face darkens. Still at large. The king believes Lord Varian may be involved, but lacks proof. Why would he harm Lady Elena? Politics. Thorn spits the word like it tastes bad. Lady Elena supported the king's new laws. And there are rumors. What rumors? I press when he falls silent. That Lord Varian plans to put forward his own daughter as a match for the king. Lady Elena opposed this strongly, saying the king should marry for love, not advantage. Marry. The word hits me like a physical blow. Of course Darian must marry, must secure his line, forge alliances, strengthen his position, and he must marry someone worthy of a king, not an Omega herb woman from the forest edge. I thank Thorn for the news and go inside. My steps heavy. Mother is awake. Her face drawn with pain she tries to hide. What troubles you, child? She asks, always seeing too much. Nothing, I lie, busying myself with her medicine. Your eyes say otherwise. She takes my hand, her grip surprisingly strong. He will come back. It doesn't matter if he does, I tell her, the truth finally spilling out. He's a king. He needs a queen who can stand beside him in court, who knows politics and power games, not someone who's never been farther than the village square. He needs someone true, Mother counters. Someone who sees him, not his crown. I want to believe her. Want to believe that what grew between Darian and me in those few short weeks was real and lasting. But the world has taught me that dreams are for those born to privilege, not for Omegas who live on society's edges. That night, I take out the letter again, tracing his words with my fingertip. I think of you with every sunrise. Such a simple phrase, yet it warms the cold places inside me. I fall asleep with the pendant clutched in my hand and dream not of distance, but of Darian walking through our door, golden eyes bright with joy at coming home. When I wake, it's to the sound of Mother's labored breathing and the knowledge that some dreams remain just that, no matter how much we wish otherwise. Winter arrives with cruel winds and colder news. Mother's illness worsens with each passing day. The royal guards Darian promised watch our cottage from a respectful distance, but they cannot guard against the enemy within her body. The village healer shakes his head when I beg for remedies. It's in her blood, he says. Nothing to be done now but ease her pain. On the darkest day of winter, a royal messenger arrives, not from Darian, but from the royal council. The paper bears the official seal, not the personal mark I've come to know. By order of the royal council, I read aloud to Mother, who lies pale against her pillows. All Omegas with healing knowledge are to be evaluated for service in the new royal infirmary. Those deemed suitable will be relocated to the capital immediately. Mother's hand closes around mine. It's you they want, she whispers. Not to honor you, to control him. What do you mean? Her eyes, clouded with pain, fix on mine. The guards talk. I listen. The king refuses all marriage offers. Speaks your name in his sleep, they say. The council seeks leverage. I'm nothing to him, I insist, but the pendant feels heavy against my skin. You're everything, she counters. Why else would they come for you now, when I'm dying? I kiss her forehead, cool despite the fire roaring in the hearth. No one is taking me anywhere while you need me. That night, Mother's breathing grows more labored. I sit beside her bed, holding her hand as the hours crawl by. Near dawn, her eyes open, clearer than they've been in weeks. My brave girl, she whispers, her voice thin as spider silk. Promise me something. Anything, I tell her, tears blurring my vision. When love comes for you, don't run from it, even if it wears a crown. Her hand goes slack in mine as the first rays of sun touch the window. 3 days later, I bury her behind our cottage, beneath her favorite apple tree. The guards stand at attention during my small ceremony, heads bowed in respect. Thorn, their leader, lays a spray of winter roses on the fresh earth. The king will want to know, he says gently. I nod, too numb to speak. I've sent no word to Darian since he left, not wanting to burden him with our small concerns. Now, with Mother gone, Our cottage feels both too empty and too full, crowded with memories that press against me like physical things. That night, Lord Varian himself arrives with a contingent of soldiers. By order of the Royal Council, he says, not bothering to hide his smirk. You are to accompany us to the capital immediately. My mother is barely cold in her grave, I reply, fury burning through my grief. How unfortunate, he says without sympathy. The Royal Infirmary has urgent need of healers. Pack only essentials. I know then that if I go with them, I'll never return. Never see this cottage again. Never tend mother's garden. Never see Darian except, perhaps from a distance, a captive healer watching as he eventually marries some suitable alpha or beta of noble birth. No, I say, the word foreign on my tongue. Omegas don't say no. We don't defy. We accept, endure, survive. But mother's words echo. You're everything. No, I repeat, stronger. I will not go. Varian's face darkens. You misunderstand. This is not a request. And you misunderstand, I counter, drawing myself up. This is my home, my land, my choice. Seize her, Varian commands. And his men move forward. What happens next surprises even me. I grab the iron poker from beside the hearth and swing it in a wide arc, forcing them back. I said no! In the confusion, I see Darian's guards drawing their swords, outnumbered but determined. One catches my eye and nods toward the forest, an escape route. I run, the pendant clutched in my hand, praying to whatever gods might listen that Darian's promise still holds. The forest welcomes me with familiar shadows. I know these paths better than the soldiers who crashed through the underbrush behind me. Every hidden hollow, every twisting deer trail, every stream that can mask my scent from their trackers. Snow begins to fall as night deepens, covering my tracks. The cold bites through my cloak, but I dare not stop. Not yet. Not until I'm sure I've lost them. By midnight, I can no longer hear pursuit. My legs ache. My lungs burn with each frozen breath. I stumble upon a cave I've known since childhood, a place Mother showed me long ago, calling it our secret spot. Inside, sheltered from the wind and snow, I collapse against the stone wall. The pendant pulses warm against my skin, almost as if it knows I'm in danger, as if it's trying to tell me something. Find me, I whisper to it, thinking of Darian. Please find me. I wake to the sound of cautious footsteps. Dawn's gray light filters into the cave mouth. I press myself against the wall, knife in hand, ready to fight if I must. A shadow appears, then resolves into Thorn. Blood crusts one side of his face, but his eyes are alert and determined. Lady Arya, he says, relief clear in his voice. Thank the gods. The other guards? I ask, fearing the answer. Fighting when I left, to buy me time to find you. His expression turns grim. Varian's men have sealed the forest. They're hunting you. Why? I'm just one Omega. Thorn kneels beside me, his voice dropping low. You're the king's weakness, or so Varian believes. That's madness. The king barely knows me. Yet he sends letters his most trusted guards must deliver by hand. Yet he speaks your name in council meetings. Yet he has refused 3 advantageous marriage alliances, saying his heart is already claimed. My own heart stumbles at his words. Could it be true? Could Darian feel for me what I feel for him? We must get you to the capital, Thorn continues. To the king himself. It's the only place you'll be safe now. How? You said they've sealed the forest. There are ways known only to the king's guard, but we must move quickly, before Varian realizes I've found you. I think of our cottage, likely ransacked by now, of Mother's grave, fresh and vulnerable, of everything I'm leaving behind. But I think too of Darian's eyes, warm as amber in firelight, of Lily's small hands in mine as we gathered herbs, of a world where being an Omega doesn't mean being less. I'm ready, I tell Thorn, tucking my knife into my belt. Lead the way. We travel by night, using game trails and forgotten paths. Thorn is skilled at moving silently, at finding food and water when supplies run low. He tells me little of the capital, saying only that things there are unsettled. The king fights battles on many fronts, he explains one night as we huddle by a tiny fire. Some with words, some with laws, some with steel. Because of me? I ask, the thought bringing fresh guilt. No, Thorn says firmly. These battles began long before he met you. His father ruled with an iron fist, keeping omegas and betas in their proper places. When the king took the throne, he began changing things. Small things at first, then larger. There are those who prefer the old ways, like Varian. Like Varian, he agrees. Who sees in you a way to control the king? 5 days into our journey, we're spotted by a patrol. Thorn pushes me into a hollow log, covering the entrance with branches before leading the soldiers away. I wait for hours, heart pounding, until night falls with no sign of his return. I emerge cautiously, pendant clutched tight in my hand. Find me, I whisper again to Darian, though he's far away. Please find me. Alone now, I must make my own way. The capital lies to the east, Thorn told me. Follow the North Star at night, the sun by day. Don't use the main roads. Trust no one who doesn't know the king's personal mark. I move on, one foot in front of the other, driven by a determination I never knew I possessed. No longer just surviving, no longer just enduring. For the first time in my life, I'm fighting. For myself, for a future I can barely imagine, for the chance to look into amber eyes once more and say what I was too afraid to say before he left, that I love him, that I have always loved him, from the moment our eyes met across a village square, that some bonds transcend rank and status and the labels the world gives us. Whether he still feels the same, I cannot know, but I will not be used as a weapon against him. I will not be Varian's pawn. I will reach the capital and find Darian, or I will die trying. With each step east, the pendant seems to grow warmer against my skin, as if it's guiding me, as if it knows the way home. The cave is cold and damp, but the small fire provides enough warmth to keep me from freezing. 3 days I've hidden here, watching royal soldiers search the forest. 3 days of wondering if my defiance was madness, if Darian's guards managed to send word, if I'll die alone in this wilderness. On the 4th night, I wake to the sound of approaching footsteps, too quiet for soldiers, too purposeful for animals. I press myself against the cave wall, knife in hand. A shadow appears at the entrance, backlit by moonlight, tall, broad-shouldered, familiar. Darian, I whisper, disbelieving. He rushes forward, gathering me into arms that tremble with relief or rage or both. I came as soon as I heard, he says against my hair. About your mother, about Varian. I cling to him, suddenly aware of how cold I've been, how afraid. How did you find me? The pendant, he explains, pulling back to look at me. It doesn't just bear my mark, it carries a trace of my blood. I can find it anywhere. In the firelight, I see him clearly. He looks tired, with new lines around his eyes and mouth. His fine clothes are dirty from travel, his hands cut and scratched from the forest. You came yourself, I marvel. Not your guards, not your soldiers. Of course I came myself, he says fiercely. Do you think I would trust your safety to anyone else? His face darkens. Varian will pay for this. For all of it. The ambush months ago, it was his doing. The separation his trick. He feared what he saw between us, what it might mean for his plans. What did he see? I dare to ask. Darian cups my face in his hands. What I felt the moment I saw you in that village square. What I knew for certain as you tended my wounds. What I've been fighting to secure a future for. His thumbs trace my cheekbones. My true mate, my equal, my queen. The word hits me like a physical blow. Queen? I'm an omega from the forest edge. I heal minor wounds and mix herbal teas. I'm not your everything, he interrupts, echoing Mother's words. Strong when I'm weak, kind when I'm harsh, wise when I'm foolish. The kingdom doesn't need another power-hungry alpha on the throne beside me. It needs heart, compassion, healing. He presses his forehead to mine. I need you, not just as my mate, but as my conscience, my balance. There will be people against it, I whisper. There already is, he says grimly. Why do you think I've stayed away so long? I've been securing allies, removing threats, changing laws, preparing a world where we can rule together. And Lily, his smile is tender, asks for you every day, calls you her forest mother. Something breaks inside me, the last wall around my heart. I thought you'd forgotten us, moved on to your real life. This is my real life, he says. Here, with you. Everything else is just duty. He draws back slightly, his face growing serious. Varian has played his hand too soon. Trying to take you gave me the reason I needed to move against him openly. My loyal guards are arresting him and his friends as we speak. Hope blooms dangerous and bright. What happens now? Now? His smile is both tender and fierce. Now I take you home. Not to your cottage, though. We'll rebuild it as a retreat if you wish. But to the palace, to introduce my chosen queen to the kingdom. His hands frame my face. If you'll have me. The question hangs between us, more important than any other words ever spoken. I think of Mother, of her last advice. When love comes for you, don't run from it, even if it wears a crown. Yes, I whisper, the word feeling like freedom. Yes, I'll have you. His kiss is gentle at first, then deepens with a hunger that matches my own. When we break apart, his eyes shine with a joy that makes my heart ache with fullness. We should leave at first light, he says, brushing a strand of hair from my face. Varian's supporters still control parts of the forest. And then what? I ask. The council will accept my choice or find themselves removed? He says with quiet certainty. I've spent months building support among the younger nobles, the merchant guilds, the common people. My father's old allies are fewer each day. We sit by the fire as he tells me of his battles since we parted. The laws he's changed, the allies he's made, the enemies he's faced. He speaks of Lily, growing stronger and more confident in her new home, yet still missing her forest mother. She made me promise to bring you back, he says with a smile. Said the palace needs more butterflies and fewer rules. Wise child. She learned from the best. His fingers traced the pendant around my neck. I wanted to come sooner. Every day without you felt wrong, like missing a limb. Yet you stayed away to make a world safe for us, he says simply, for what we could be together. As night deepens, we lie close by the fire, his cloak covering us both. I rest my head on his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. Tell me about the cottage, he murmurs into my hair. After I left, I tell him of the quiet days, of tending Mother as her strength faded, of the guards who kept watch from a respectful distance. I speak of her last words, her last wish for me. Speaking of it brings fresh grief, but also a strange peace. She saw the truth before either of us, Darian says softly, that some bonds transcend the barriers we build. She would have liked being right, I say, smiling through tears. Morning comes with pale winter light. Darian helps me to my feet, his touch gentle yet strong. Ready? He asks. I take one last look at the cave that sheltered me, thinking of all the hiding places I've needed in my life. The forest shadows, the hood pulled low, the silence when words might bring punishment. Yes, I tell him. I'm ready to stop hiding. We travel swiftly, Darian leading us along paths I never knew existed. By midday, we reach a small clearing where 4 royal guards wait with horses. Thorn among them, his face breaking into a rare smile at the sight of us. Your Majesty, he says, bowing. Lady Arya, The eastern road is clear. And the palace? Darian asks. Secure. Lord Varian was arrested at dawn. The council has been summoned as ordered. Darian helps me onto a horse, his hands lingering at my waist. It's a half-day's ride to the capital, he tells me. Are you strong enough? I think of all I've endured. The years of whispers and slights. The loss of mother. The days alone in the wilderness. I'm stronger than I look, I tell him. His smile warms me more than any fire. I've never doubted that. We ride through winter-bare forests that gradually give way to rolling farmland. Villagers stop their work to watch us pass, bowing to their king but eyeing me with open curiosity. An Omega riding beside the king, wearing his pendant openly around her neck. As the sun begins its descent, the capital appears on the horizon, not the small collection of buildings I'd imagined, but a vast city spreading from a central hill where the palace rises, white stone catching the last golden rays. Home, Darian says, watching my face. Our home, if you wish it. Fear flutters in my chest, fear of the unknown, of rejection, of failure. But beneath it lies something stronger, hope, purpose, love. Tell me what happens when we reach those gates, I say. I present you to the royal household, then to the council, then, when you're ready, to the people. His eyes hold mine. And then, if you still wish it, we begin planning a royal wedding. And if the council refuses to accept an Omega Queen, his face hardens with determination. Then they find themselves seeking new positions. The laws are already changed, Arya. No rank can be denied position based on designation alone. Merit, character, ability. These are what matter now. Your father's supporters won't like that. My father is dead, he says simply. And I am not him. As we draw closer to the city gates, people line the roads, craning for a glimpse of their king and the mysterious woman at his side. I sit straighter in the saddle, chin lifted. Let them look. Let them see that an Omega can ride proudly beside an Alpha. That strength comes in many forms. The gates swing open at our approach. Guards snap to attention, their faces carefully neutral, though their eyes flick curiously to me. Darian reaches across the space between our horses, taking my hand in his. Ready? He asks again. I think of Mother's apple tree, of our cottage in the forest, of the life I've left behind. Then I look ahead, to white towers and new beginnings, to a child who calls me Forest Mother, to a man who sees beyond labels, to the person beneath. Ready, I answer. And together we ride through the gates, into a future neither of us could have imagined. That night, I opened my door to strangers in the storm. 2 years later, I stand on the palace balcony, watching the summer festival unfold in the courtyard below. Lily, now 8 and growing like a wildflower, dances with other children around the maypole, her laughter carrying up to me on the warm breeze. The crown on my head no longer feels like a stranger's burden. I've earned it not through birth or rank, but through the healing houses I've started throughout the kingdom, through the laws I've helped change, through the meetings where my voice carries equal weight to any alphas. Darian's arms circle me from behind, his hand coming to rest on the gentle swell of my belly where our child grows. Happy? He murmurs against my temple. Complete, I correct him. Below us, a group of Omegas moves freely through the crowd, wearing the green sashes that mark them as healers trained in my program. No longer hidden at the edges, no longer made to feel small. They're watching you, Darian observes, looking to see what's possible. They don't need to look at me, I say. They need only look within themselves. But I understand what he means. Every time I stand beside him at court, every time I speak in council, every time I use my healing gift openly and proudly, I strike another blow against years of limits. My mother's garden grows now in the palace courtyard, tended by Omega and Alpha hands alike. Her wisdom lives in the healing houses that bear her name. Her strength lives in me. Lily breaks away from the dance and runs toward us, calling for us to join her. Darian takes my hand, and together we descend to the courtyard. No longer ruler and consort, but simply family, the family we chose, built from brokenness and hope. As we join the dance, villagers who once shunned me bow with respect. Not because I'm their queen, but because I've shown them a different way to be. A world where ranks don't decide your fate, where weakness becomes strength, where bonds heal what loneliness breaks. I love you, Darian whispers as we turn in the dance, his golden eyes holding the same wonder they did when we first met. I know, I reply, no longer afraid to claim what's mine. I love you too. And in that moment, surrounded by our chosen family, carrying our future within me, I am no longer the outcast girl who hid in shadows. I am a woman transformed not by a crown or a mate or a title, but by the courage to believe I deserved them all along. The dance ends, and Lily pulls us toward the sweet-smelling food stalls that line the courtyard. Her dark curls bounce as she skips ahead, pointing out treats she wants to try. No trace remains of the frightened child who arrived at our cottage door. In her place stands a confident young girl who moves easily between palace and village, between royal duties and childish play. "Slow down, little whirlwind," Darian calls, his voice filled with the same love he once reserved only for me. "The sweets will wait." She turns, hands on hips, in a perfect copy of my own stance. "But the berry tarts might run out, and they're just like the ones Forest Mother used to make." Forest Mother. The name she gave me in those early days has stuck, though she now knows me as Mother in truth. The adoption papers were the first official documents I signed as queen, making real what our hearts already knew. We reached the tart stall, run by a young Omega woman whose hands once shook when I first spoke to her. Now she stands tall, meeting my eyes as she hands Lily a warm pastry. "Your healing tea saved my father, Your Majesty," she says quietly. "He walks again, thanks to you. The healing was always in the herbs," I tell her. "I just showed the way." "You showed much more than that," she replies, her gaze steady. "You showed what's possible." As we continue through the festival, people approach with similar stories. The beta farmer whose land was returned after Varian supporters tried to seize it. The alpha woman now serving as a royal guard, a position once closed to her sex. The Omega scholar teaching at the Royal Academy, his students from all ranks of society. Small changes, perhaps, in a world that moved one way for centuries, but like ripples in a pond, they spread outward, touching lives far beyond the capital. Darian watches it all with quiet pride, his hand never leaving mine. "You've done this," he murmurs as we pause near the musicians. "Your strength, your vision." "We've done this," I correct him. "Together." The afternoon sun warms the stone courtyard as we make our way back to the palace. Lily runs ahead with new friends, her royal status forgotten in the universal joy of children at play. In the quiet garden that was once Mother's, now transplanted stone by stone from our forest cottage, I sit beside the small apple tree that grows from a cutting of her favorite. "She would be proud," Darian says, joining me on the bench, "of all you've become." "All we've become," I say, leaning against his strength. "She saw it before we did, you know. That last night, she told me not to run from love, even if it wore a crown." His arms tighten around me. Wise woman. She would have enjoyed telling us, "I told you so." The memory brings not pain but a warm glow, like sunshine through leaves. Mother lives on in the herbs I still blend by hand, in the healing knowledge I pass to others, in the quiet strength I found within myself. As evening approaches, we gather in the great hall for the festival feast. No longer do alphas sit separated from betas, or betas from omegas. The tables mix all ranks, all backgrounds, creating a tapestry of conversation and connection that would have been unthinkable under the old king. I take my place beside Darian at the high table, Lily between us, chattering about her day. The crown sits lighter on my head now, its weight balanced by purpose. Lord Thorne, no longer just a guard, but elevated to the council for his loyalty, raises his glass. To the king and queen, who have shown us a better path. The hall echoes with the toast. Hundreds of voices joined as one. I meet Darian's eyes over Lily's head, seeing in them the same wonder I feel. How far we've come from that stormy night when he appeared at my door, wounded and desperate. Later, as the stars emerge and the celebration continues below, we stand again on the balcony. Lily sleeps peacefully in her chambers, exhausted from a day of play. The kingdom spreads before us, lights twinkling in the darkness like earthbound stars. Any regrets? Darian asks, his hand resting protectively over our growing child. I think of our cottage in the forest, of quiet days gathering herbs, of a simple life far from court politics and royal duties. No, I say truthfully, this is where we're meant to be, not just for ourselves, but for Lily, for the child who will join our family come winter, for all the children who will grow up in a world where an Omega can be queen, where healing hands are valued as highly as warriors' strength, where love crosses the boundaries others create. The council reports that 3 more provinces have adopted the new laws, Darian says, his voice warm with satisfaction. Soon, the entire kingdom will recognize all designations as equal under law. Laws change faster than hearts, I remind him. But it's a beginning you made possible. He turns me to face him, his amber eyes serious in the moonlight. I would have been half a king without you, half a man, and I would have been half alive, I admit, hiding in the shadows, afraid to claim my place in the world. His kiss is tender, a promise renewed each day since he found me in that forest cave. When we part, I rest my head against his chest, listening to the steady beat of his heart. Below, the festival continues, music and laughter rising on the night air. But here, in this quiet moment, I find the greatest joy, not in a crown or a title, but in the love that saw beyond rank and status to the person beneath. Mother was right. Some bonds transcend the labels the world gives us. Some strengths are found only in our deepest vulnerabilities. Some families we choose, creating connections stronger than blood. And sometimes, the greatest transformation isn't becoming something new, but finally, truly becoming who we were always meant to be.